I am Jim Collison, and this is the Wellbeing at Work with CliftonStrengths podcast, recorded on December 16th, 2021. In this CliftonStrengths podcast, we'll look at the strengths, insight, and action planning items from Appendix 1 in the Gallup book, Wellbeing at Work, one theme at a time. And today's theme is connectedness. If you're listening live, love to have you join us in our chat room. There's just a link right above me there to get in there. If you're listening after the fact and you have any questions, you can always send us an email, coaching@gallup.com. Dr. Jacqueline Robinson is our host today. She works as a learning development consultant and was the primary contributor in Appendix 1 in the Wellbeing at Work book. And Jacqueline, it's always great to be with you. Welcome back.
Thank you, sir. Good to be here.
We are talking about connectedness today. Let's dive in with the definition.
Let's do it. So, people with connectedness have faith in the links among all things. They generally believe everything happens for a reason, with very few coincidences in life.
We've been spending some time thinking about how it relates to me and then how it relates to others, not me specifically, but you generally. Let's work our way through that.
Yeah. So, for those that have connectedness, if you lead with this, you might find comfort in knowing that everything, most everything, works out in the long run. You might not understand the reason behind circumstances and events, but you might believe there's a lesson to be learned in that situation. And then if we think about how connectedness relates to other people, because this person is pretty comfortable with the mysteries of life, they tend to help friends, family, and colleagues, anyone else that they might come across, manage times of stress by really helping them see the bigger picture. That the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. And that cool, calm, and collect attitude can really help calm those that are around them.
I think it can come into play during times of crisis. Not that we haven't had
Yes.
any kind of crises around happening around us, but
Nope.
our connectedness friends could be a healing balm, so to speak,
Oh,
during
that's
these
a
times
good
of
term for them.
saying, I know this is kind of crazy right now, but let's talk about how there may be some things connected to bring things
Yes.
together, and I think they're important, especially in crisis. I don't think we would talk about it that way a lot, but I think our friends
Mhm.
with connectedness could be important people to have around you during a crisis.
Mhm.
I mentioned this before, but I think belief is sometimes paired with it, and boy, that's a combo that can be centering or stabilizing.
Yes.
I'm not a stabilizer during crises, but that can. Anything you want to add to that?
I think you're right. They can be a grounding force for
Mhm.
teams and the people around them. And I find during times of crisis, people tend to go to them like a moth to a flame, whether
Mhm.
it's happening in the world or whether it's happening just for that person. But just being around someone with connectedness, they tend to have this energy that just comes off of them that's very calming. And it's okay. It's okay. Everything will work out, everything will turn out. They can, I think, help them come to some solutions because they're calming that person
Right.
down and helping them
Right.
see that
And
it's
and,
okay.
and not an empty it's going to be okay, but it's going to be
Yes.
okay because of, right? It's
Mhm.
going to I can see these things all coming together, and so I think
Yes.
it's that it comes from being able to see that in a way that
I agree.
can bring stability, as we think of those four needs of followers, can bring
Yeah.
stability back into the relationship. Is
Mhm.
We're spending this season talking about well-being, and as we think about thriving versus struggling, what could this look like? Thriving, we've talked a bunch about that already, but then struggling.
I think thriving is when someone high in connectedness feels grounded in their day-to-day life, meaning they feel at peace and one with the world and their place within it. Struggling, on the other hand, might be when it feels as if they've lost their sense of footing.
Mm.
And typically, because the pieces do connect and it might be serendipitous or synchronous, that might not happen frequently. But, if there haven't been opportunities to step away and ground themselves through meditation or mindfulness or yoga or journaling or whatever it is that helps them feel connected to all around them and grounded,
Mhm.
that's when they might feel like they've lost that sense of footing and just need to reconnect.
Maybe even when they get disconnected from their sources of connection. In other words,
Yes.
when they've got things that help them stay or be or
Yes.
communicate in that way, and when those doors get shut, they get removed
Mhm.
from them. They get moved physically maybe to a new location or situation. Again, 2 years ago, as situations were shifting, there may have been a new world, so to speak, that
Yes.
had now there I don't know how to make connections to this, at least not initially, right?
Mhm.
In time.
Yes, yes. Some people high in connectedness, yoga was their way to balance out and just reconnect. But when all the yoga studios closed, and before there was that idea, oh, let's hop on YouTube and do yoga, that could have created a sense of, uh-oh, what's happening? I'm losing my sense of footing. Um, but yeah, to your point, it's whenever I lose that connection to what helps me and supports me and
Yeah.
assists me in feeling grounded,
In Appendix
get
1,
off balance.
you spent some time going through each of the themes that's available for folks by the 5 elements. We want to focus on one
Mhm.
of those. What'd you pick for us today?
I picked career. So from a career perspective, this person is really great at helping connect everyone to the team's goals. They can help their colleagues see how all of their tasks work together. So this is something people are seeking right now is what am I doing that's contributing to something greater than myself?
Mhm.
People high in connectedness tend to see that and sense that within their team, but they can also help teams see how they connect to other teams or departments in an organization. So I think we can look to them for that
Mhm.
sense of connection and purpose.
I think very valuable in the sense of team and team communication in where we're at today, and then how can we make those connections work better?
Hmm.
How can things be done differently? What's the new world look like in this case?
Yeah.
And I'm kind of excited about 5 years from now when we've gone through all this and learned all these lessons. I think our friends who have are high and connected, pay attention. Like I
Hmm.
think you're gonna have some great things coming out of this, some great material coming out of this to help make those connections for both yourself and for
Yeah.
other people in the process. Jacqueline, there's four other of the elements there, the well-being elements for you if you want to look back in that appendix, and some great opportunities for you to use that
Mhm.
in your coaching. So with connectedness, how can we use that to support others?
Well, if you're a manager, you're leading a team, during times of organizational change or global crises like we've been experiencing that impact everyone, they bring forth a sense of calm and keep the team together and focused on that larger mission. And they can help the team see how their actions are creating positive impact for the organization or for their customers or even for the world. So bringing them back down, creating that sense of grounding, but also hope. Things we're doing now are creating a better future. If you are on a team and you have connectedness, sometimes people just need a vent or find that person who can bring them back to that sense of calm. And those with connectedness, I find are often the people that others go to find that sense of calm. So that being said, because you might find that people come to you a bit like a moth to a flame, as an individual, if you lead with this theme, I think it's important to ensure you have time yourself to decompress. Um, and some might say decompress and disconnect, but for you, it's decompress and reconnect to the world around you. So you tend to be at your best, I would say, if your energy is aligned and you feel connected to all that's around you.
During this time, I have found I kind of want to go back to think about managers with high
Hmm.
connectedness and their ability to use that uh, again to the four needs of followers as we think about stability
Hmm.
in that, and then bringing hope in it because I think those we manage are coming to us now saying like
Oh yes.
where's this all going? You know,
Yes.
what are we doing here?
Yes.
Right?
What is my motivation?
As we think about the great discontentment, right? Or the great resignation of some
Mhm.
chosen calling. We just published a paper on loneliness today, an article on Gallup.com, thinking about friendships in that, and we're more disconnected than we've ever been. And so I think there's some great opportunities for leaders and managers to start to make those connections, just not connecting people, but helping people see all the connections that are available for them in whatever world that happens to be in. and
Yes.
and right, so we've got some great opportunities. What else do you want to add to that?
I think you nailed it. We can really look to those with connectedness. And I have a go to, my manager leads with connectedness. And it was so key as we were going through the last couple of years and helping us see how what we've done in the past has prepared us for the here and now, and how what we're doing here and now is changing um, the workplace and workplace needs, and really impacting those that we work with and those that we work for.
In Appendix 2, we have a really great framework there of kind of working through these
Hmm.
each of these elements, these well-being elements. We'll spend a little bit of time talking about them now, but Jacqueline, as we think through connectedness through this framework of let's ask yourself, ask your team members, and then take action. Walk us through that.
So for these, I selected, always have the theme in mind here. So for ask yourself, how can I spend more time with a friend or colleague today?
Mm.
Who's that person that you connect with and you just feel so good? You leave with the sense of positive energy as opposed to someone that might drain you. Ask your team members, do we spend enough social time together as a team? Particularly, and I love that you brought up this sense of loneliness in the loneliness article, because people are experiencing loneliness and social isolation, and they're looking to come back together as a team, whether it's remote, virtual, hybrid, or remote and virtual, one and the same. But whether you're a hybrid, you're working offsite, you're working on site, you might have some key ideas of how people can come together for social activities. And then take action, scheduling time to then coordinate those social events and activities, whether they're on site or virtual. Again, you could get the team involved, but seeing how all the pieces connect, you might be that common thread that then threads everybody else together.
Yeah, and I'm going to encourage those with high connectedness to call that out in their relationships as they're doing
Hmm.
that. I think sometimes for those of us who don't have it, we don't necessarily see it. It's
Yes.
it's it's stealth. It's a little stealthy as it's happening, and we just think it's part of life. But if you have high connectedness and you're doing that, I'd encourage you to actually in situations call it out. Hey, this is my connectedness now, putting these things together, or however that plays out for you. It
Hmm.
can be in so many different ways, but claim that one. I think claim that one out loud. I think that's a great when you're taking action, let folks know that you're putting those things together, you're finding or having those connections or seeing how the past is influencing this. And I think it's a great
Hmm.
opportunity then for others to recognize that. I know I'd appreciate it because I think I overlook it from time to time as people are doing those. Jacqueline,
Hmm.
you mentioned your manager has that. How do you when a moment like that is happening, do you respond to it in a way? And have you ever given positive feedback to say, and that's super helpful?
Yes. We love it. We love it on our team. For Boss Day, International Boss Day, which we should change to International like Coaches Day or
Would be-
Managers Day. He got a lot of shout outs,
yeah.
just for keeping us connected. Even when we lose that sense of connection, with focus so high for me, I so thoroughly enjoy that he has connectedness high, because he can help
Hmm.
me see how what I'm doing today is going to align to goals that I have for myself personally or professionally. And that brings me back down to a sense of, okay, everything is all right. I'm still heading towards the outcome that I seek to achieve. It's just I'm on a different path, but he just helped me, get that bird's eye perspective of how I'm still heading towards the goal.
I think after doing this webcast, I need to go find some folks with high connectedness and just study it a little bit
Yes.
more. Like I'm intrigued by it.
Yes.
I mentioned it's my favorite theme that I don't have, and now I'm intrigued after this conversation of digging in a little bit on that to ask how they are using it, how that can benefit our working relationship. So I'm going to dig a little deeper on that one. Jacqueline, any other thoughts before I wrap it?
Um, no, sir.
All right.
Go hug a connectedness person or give
Yeah,
them the elbow right now. You might do elbow to elbow, elbow tap.
might
They're
might be important.
they're good people. Yes.
How do you do a
And let's make
virtual fist
sure.
pump? Like how
Yeah,
does
we
that
just
work?
do this. Yeah, if you see someone high in connectedness that might be struggling too, I think we could serve as accountability partners for them just to see
Mm,
if they've had moments, pockets of time to focus on self and reground.
great. It's a great idea. I love, go, hug your local um, connectedness person.
Yes.
So appreciate that. Well, with that, we'll remind everyone to take full advantage of all the resources we do have available in Gallup Access. Head out to gallup.com/CliftonStrengths, and there's a ton out there for you for coaching, master coaching, or if you want to become a Gallup certified strengths coach, you can just send us an email, coaching@gallup.com. We'll get all that set up for you. That address good for just general questions as well. Join us on any social platform. Just search Clifton Strengths. Not that hard to remember, and we're just about everywhere. And if you found this helpful, we'd ask that you like and subscribe, whether wherever you listen to this
Mhm.
episode. Helps us with discoverability, and you don't want to miss an episode. So we want to thank you for joining us today. If you're in the live show, stay around for a little bit of post. And with that, we'll say goodbye, everybody.